Good morning. Today's Friday, October 10th, 2025. I'm meteorologist Andrew Pritchard, taking a look at your Canadian Prairie weather story. This is brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Got a few things to talk about today over the next 10 to 14 days. Some big storm systems, some change, and we'll take a look at the early winter outlook here. Got a big winter storm system here. It's going to be bringing chances for some snow and some heavier rain, primarily across portions of Saskatchewan and Manitoba over the next 3 days. That's going to bring a shot of colder air that's going to overspread the entirety of the prairie over the back half of the weekend into early next week. And over the back half of this video, we'll talk about the latest info here on what we've got as we head into the early part of the winter 25 to winter 26 season here. Let's start off looking at the last 10 days, and as advertised, we had some heavy precipitation come through eastern portions of the prairie, 2.5 inches of total rainfall over the last 10 days. In Winnipeg, much lighter as you head across the rest of the prairie here. Alberta and Saskatchewan also as advertised, mostly dry with some corridors of some, isolated, widely scattered shower and thunderstorm activity. Now we'll get started here Friday morning. Today's October 10th. This is the satellite picture across North America. The prairie is completely quiet. I was going to say clear and quiet there is what I was blending. I was going to say walking out the door this morning, clear skies for just about everyone across the prairie. But this is the big storm system here, kind of just parked off the Pacific coast. It's going to get a nudge from some stronger flow across the Pacific and finally make its way in here. We'll see this big area of low pressure kind of curl up and again move right through this area with a corridor of some precipitation. None of that right now. Again, clear skies, clear conditions across the entirety of the prairie here as we get started. Clear and cool. Those temperatures here just before sunrise on Friday morning, right around the freezing mark. A couple degrees above in some areas, a couple degrees below in some areas. Higher elevations here, a little bit cooler there as well as we get started here on Friday morning. So the near-term precipitation forecast looks something like this. We'll wind it back here. This is your Friday, quiet across the region. This is your Friday night, getting into Saturday morning. Look for some isolated areas of precipitation here as the sun comes up on Friday morning. Peace River, Grand Prairie, maybe some light snow flurries, some light drizzle that'll spread into the Calgary and Edmonton areas through the day on Saturday, kind of midday into Saturday afternoon. Not a ton of precipitation here across Alberta into western Saskatchewan. We really get a better, more organized area of low pressure as we go into Sunday. This is Saturday night. This is now Sunday morning. Some heavier rain, maybe even some rumbles of thunder, and then transitioning over to snow on the backside here. This is as the sun comes up on Sunday morning. The heaviest precipitation in southern portions of Saskatchewan, spreading into central and southern Manitoba as we get to the later part of the day on Sunday. This is what the NAM model has right now on Sunday. It's a little more aggressive with that chance for some snow as cold air wraps around the backside of this area of low pressure, potentially accumulating some of this across central and southern portions of Saskatchewan here. Let's run it through the rest of the day Sunday. This is Sunday evening now, getting into Sunday night, and then here's on Monday morning, the area of low pressure pulling off into Ontario, but still likely some precipitation lingering on the backside here as you get into Sunday morning, perhaps some light snow, maybe some light rain here as well. We'll go ahead and flip it on over to look at the European model. And this one is a little less aggressive with the cold air, a little less aggressive with the chance for some snow. Both of the models agree with this very quiet Friday, and then starting off on Saturday with light precipitation overspreading portions of Alberta, still quiet across Saskatchewan and Manitoba for much of your Saturday. This is Saturday night getting into Sunday morning, and now you're starting to see, again, that area of low pressure becoming a little more well-defined. Right along the borders of Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and the Dakotas here, kind of running right along the 49th as we get into Sunday morning. Here's Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening. Again, you see the European a little less aggressive with that chance for some snow, but still, not going to rule this out. I'm not calling for a big, heavy snow event, but this is maybe some of the first flavors of winter here as this storm system moves through, and it does certainly have some cold air available that'll be tugging in on the backside. The European model does flip over to some snow here, but it's just a little bit later as this storm is really exiting the prairie here, getting some snow across northern and central portions of Manitoba into Ontario during the day on Monday. Some lighter precipitation kind of lingering here as flow comes up against the higher terrain, maybe some flurries across western and southwestern portions of Alberta during the day on Monday as well, but I wouldn't look for anything significant in the way of accumulation there, just kind of some lingering precipitation. So as I just rock back and forth, here's your Friday, here's your Saturday, this is your Saturday night, Sunday night, and your Monday, the storm system pulls away. A lot going on here, but what you're seeing here is 4 panels, total precipitation accumulation by type, and I'm showing you the NAM on the left, the European on the right. And so really just focusing on the green and the blue blobs here, showing the difference here where the NAM on the left, that bottom left, box right there, showing, the potential for some accumulation here with that snow. The European, again, you see the lack thereof. So still, I think we land somewhere in the middle. I think there will be some snowflakes falling across central and southern portions of Saskatchewan. I think it's maybe a little bit of a pipe dream here to think we're going to get significant accumulations here. The ground is still quite warm. We're just tugging, enough air, cold air down here to kind of flip this over to snow. I would be surprised if we have any significant accumulations across the area. Just wanted to kind of show both models, though. Let you know that we've got a spread here among the solutions. This is not a sure thing one way or another, whether it's no snow, accumulating snow, or somewhere in between. More likely to be somewhere in between. That's kind of what we see here when we use the European ensemble. It is displaying some snow here, some light accumulation. This one going after, 5 centimeters of snow here. Again, we're talking about maybe a trace, some white on the ground out there, but the first flickerings of winter precipitation across the prairie. Feeling pretty good about that here as we head into kind of the Sunday, Monday time frame. Again, here's the storm system that does all of this. This is the big spinning low here over the Pacific Ocean right now. This is your Friday. Again, disorganized weak flow ridging over the prairie right now. That's what gives us that quiet, clear conditions on Friday. This is Saturday into Sunday. Here's what we're seeing is kind of this low off the west coast here, and then we get this kind of push of flow. Get these two kind of troughs merging. You see these two U shapes in the flow. Watch them kind of come together here as we get into Saturday night and then into Sunday. It's not a complete phasing of these two. If we were to get that, it would be a much, much more, high impact, potentially significant storm system across the region. But we kind of get this just enough phasing here Sunday into Monday that we get that really nice area of low pressure and some heavier precipitation across, especially southeastern Saskatchewan into central and southern Manitoba. We kind of take this into the early part of next week. We'll see that shot of cooler air come in on the back side, but still kind of a disorganized look with the jet stream. We get back into this kind of high over low. Look right here, this trough across California now slowly making its way into the western United States. It's not until we get to next weekend, right around Friday, October 17th into Saturday, October 18th, we get another trough kind of lifting into the region. So this is not necessarily an immediately stormy pattern, but starting to see some signs here in late October into early November that we could see more in the way of big storm systems making their way into the prairie. I'm going to keep the speculation for that one towards the end of the video, and if not, until next week, as we just kind of focus on the weekend storm system here, a wider look at what's going on over the next 2 weeks. You'll see this first storm here, our Sunday storm system here. This is midday on Sunday, October 12th. We'll take this into Monday. Into Tuesday, it's going to be cooler and quiet. Tuesday across the prairie. Cooler and quiet probably on Wednesday as well. This is your Tuesday night into Wednesday. Here's that high pressure cell that follows the weekend storm system. So some flow coming around that up against the higher terrain. That's the reason we could see some flurries across western Alberta Monday and Tuesday while it's quiet elsewhere. High pressure, disorganized flow really continues into the later part of next week. I mentioned not till we get to Friday, October 17th and 18th, that I really think that we'll see another area of low pressure with precipitation associated with it there lifting into the prairie. And then the potential that we could kind of keep it stormy slowly late October into early November. We'll take a look at what I mean by that here in just a moment. Continuing to get ahead of myself here, but just kind of walking it back here the next 2 weeks overall. This is from the European deterministic model, so is this exactly how it's going to happen? No, but you see the pattern is clear here. Central, southern Saskatchewan into central and southern Manitoba. The hot spot here for precipitation over the next 10 to 14 days. Peace River, Grand Prairie, you also have that opportunity to keep it pretty active. Some rain, some snow in the forecast there, but locations like Calgary, Edmonton, Saskatoon, southern portions of Alberta, just going to be kind of left out here over the next 10 days as far as being in, the bullseye. And we just kind of wait until we get this, pattern a little more established later on into the winter season. So what we've got here is the probability of picking up half an inch of precipitation or more over the next 14 days on the left, and then the probability of picking up 1 inch or more over the next 2 weeks on the right side. And again, just kind of driving home the point, southeastern Saskatchewan, central and southern Manitoba, you're the big winners here. The big storm system that comes through here Saturday night, Sunday into Monday. And then we kind of wait and see what happens October 17th and 18th. Low confidence on anything at that time. And we kind of look at this in one more way. This is your 2-week precipitation anomaly forecast. And you can kind of see with this pattern, southeast Saskatchewan, central and southern portions of Manitoba, down into the northern plains of the U.S., the upper Midwest is where that green shading, is. We've got drier conditions across British Columbia, and then drier conditions across the central, southern, and eastern United States. Now, as I look a little bit further, I kind of take the forecast out 2 weeks from now. This is October 24th and 25th. I've been looking for something like this, that big corridor of yellow and orange shading across the Pacific Ocean here. This is a really nice Pacific jet extension. This is what would, kind of blast up, free up the jet stream pattern across the Pacific, across North America, where we've had this very bunched up, weak, disorganized flow that's led to us getting kind of stuck in patterns and kind of getting us into a pattern that's flowing, much more typical of the winter season here, more robust flow across the Pacific Ocean. That's going to be more in the way of storm systems moving across North America. Now, in the near-term temperatures here, again, we get that shot of cooler air over the back half of the weekend into early next week. Look for temperatures to moderate over the mid and late part of next week with some mild air kind of rebuilding back into the area. But again, looking at the potential implications of this Pacific jet extension as we get into the last part of October and early November, look for the potential for increased flow coming in across the Pacific Northwest, across British Columbia. This would mean increased chances for storm systems coming in across the Canadian Prairie as we get into November and beyond. So right now I'm showing you the European seasonal forecast. This is the latest info that just came out this week. The forecast for November on the left, and then I've got November, December, January on the right. So you start to see that green shading, appearing across British Columbia, the Pacific Northwest, with near average conditions across the Canadian Prairie, kind of signaling to me a more active storm track coming off of the Pacific into Western Canada. And we continue to see that idea expanded deeper into the season, November, December, and January. You see that green shading, that probability of above normal precipitation expanding across Western Canada, encompassing the entirety of the prairie. As we kind of flip over, look at the NMME. This is another seasonal model. This one also just had new information updated this week. We see the exact same thing, kind of increased precipitation across British Columbia, trending toward near average precipitation across the prairies in November, with an expansion of that wetter than average conditions across the entirety of the prairie, the northern plains of the U.S. here in the upper Midwest as we get into December here. So kind of just looking at the potential that we kind of slowly walk into a more active pattern across the prairie here. And as we get closer to the winter season, starting to see these forecasts hone in on above normal precipitation chances across the prairie. A potential snowy winter season across the prairie here is what we're seeing, at least in the early term, as we look for that transition into November and December. I mentioned temperature is going to be a bit all over the place over the next 2 weeks. 18 for the high today in Calgary, 1 for the high on Sunday and Monday. Those overnight lows well below freezing. Edmonton, 21. Very mild for the high today, all the way down to 3 on Sunday, minus 10 for your low on Monday. Saskatoon, 20, 22 today and tomorrow. Same thing, down to the single digits. Overnight lows below freezing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Here's a look at the temperatures here in Regina. 24, quite mild on Saturday. A sunny 24 degrees with some rain, maybe some snow on the way as we head into the back half of the weekend. Finishing up here in Winnipeg, 15 today, 17 on Sunday. The cold front a little more delayed here. It arrives on Sunday night into Monday, though. Those highs in the single digits. You too will see overnight lows likely near or a few degrees below freezing on Monday and Tuesday. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the snow if you get some there. And then we'll kind of revisit this pattern, take a look at, maybe some increased confidence in what the weather is going to be doing here as we head into the winter 25, winter 26 season. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you